Hi, we're Bri and Niko, and this is Saint Electric. We're on Talking About Rock.
Okay, today's guests are a Los Angeles-based hard rock pop metal band. Saint Electric have quickly become a force in the heavy music scene thanks to their colorful and adrenaline-fueled approach to the genre. Here to talk to us about their debut album, Off the Edge, out on March 20th, let's welcome Bri and Niko from Saint Electric. Folks, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having us. We're super excited.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been listening to your tracks in the last couple weeks, and so the new album, you guys are saying like this is kind of not just an album. This is kind of like a philosophy for you guys, kind of, right? So Bri, can you tell us a little bit how this came about, or how this this goes together?
So it all started like the album.
Yeah, well, the album and the philosophy, how it all fits together, because it's kind of like basics what's behind it, right?
Yeah, so it all started, me and Niko, we've been together for 7 years. We are together. And, we had been going through, we had a group of friends that we really, really loved. And, we just started to part ways. And it was really hard because at that time, too, I came from Texas, he's from LA. And I was trying to figure out myself. He's still trying to figure out himself, trying to figure out who we wanted to be, what kind of friends we wanted to be surrounded by, and what our future selves would want for us, for ourselves. And so, this album is heavily inspired by a lot of the things that we've gone through in the past since the beginning of the band. I would say a lot of our songs are like journal entries. That's what we've been telling people, our journal entries of events that have happened in our life, good, bad, sad, all in between. And I think from that, when we came up with this concept, our motto of living off the edge, we realized, and we were a part of that too before we live off the edge now, but we we're part of this, group of people who lived on the edge and were just too afraid to take that next step, even if it makes them uncomfortable. And a lot of things, make people very uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, they're probably really good for you. It's like you have to take a chance on yourself. And for us, we love the music we do. We love this, this concept has really flourished for us. Last year we had our first song come out, Tar, and that's when we did the Drift Cars. And I think was the first time we really were like, okay, this is who we are. And about a few months before that, we came up with the concept Off the Edge, but we hadn't fully now you see our Instagram or you see our page. It's it's their world, of living off the edge. And that's where it kind of all came from. It's we want to ourselves inspire ourselves but inspire other people. It's not just about being in music too. It's I always say walking that 1 mile or starting that business or becoming a doctor. It doesn't have to be in the arts. It can be something that maybe you're too afraid of doing to better yourself in any way. And with this, it's just it all kind of comes together like a world.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying about taking that next step or making that leap of faith. Friends of mine used to say, if you come up with certain circumstances and you're presented with something, take that leap, a net will appear, and it'll work out. You know what I mean? So, absolutely. Niko, I wanted to ask you about some of the stuff you guys are getting known for: truck surfing, skydiving, fire spitting, whole 9 yards. It sounds almost like a circus of entertainment here kind of going on with you guys, right? Tell us about some of this. I'm liking it.
Yeah, it's we want to show the concept. We don't want to just be talking about we want to practice what we preach, and we want to be facing our own fears. And a lot of this stuff is a bit terrifying, to be honest. But when we finish it, it is so rewarding, and to see how many people have responded to what we've been doing, and to hear from people hey, that inspired me to face my own fear doing this, is really awesome. I think this all started with our song Tar, where we our drummer's from New Mexico, and he's like has a lot of friends in the car community. So we organized to have like, hey, let's have a drift car mosh pit. Like, let's play and have a bunch of drift cars going around us. And that was really the the one that started it all and kind of got us in the world of motorsport. Like that, we had a video that it went semi-viral in the motorsport community, and from there, we had motocross people messaging us. We got to work with Formula Drift driver Jeff Jones, and now our music's going to be featured on his show about his festival that he created called Hot Pit Auto Fest. So yeah, we've done a lot of really cool, exciting stunts and things like that, and we don't plan on stopping that. It's been really invigorating and nice to show our music. Like our music, the way I see it, it's like a soundtrack to a bold life. It isn't always easy. It isn't always sweet and fun. Sometimes it's hard, but there's always kind of a light at the end of the tunnel if you're willing to do something that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely agree. So let's talk about the music a little bit. So Catacombs struck me kind of as a big song for you guys that was going to really hit it and get the streaming going. But it seems like Piece of Myself is the favorite at this point. Really, did you guys see that at all? Or did you think about that when you're putting it together? I know artists sometimes do. They're like, oh, this is going to take off, or that, or not sure about this. Did you think about that at all during these tracks?
No, but I will say we really favored Piece of Myself more, because it was a single at the part of the to get to the album, and I feel like for Piece of Myself, we kind of found like more and more who we are with that song. And I love Catacombs and I love the meaning of it, but I think that Catacombs was a stepping stone into what kind of music we're trying to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Catacombs was like our gateway drug into heavy music. It was like that was like what made us be like, oh, we could do this heavy stuff too.
Right.
But with Piece of Myself, there was kind of a feeling like we would show it to our friends. I remember I showed it to my cousin from Greece, and he was like, "That's a hit! Like that's great," And he doesn't like listen to a ton of rock music, or like, so for me, I was like, oh, like if he's like really picking this one out, like that's really awesome. So I think we kind of had a feeling like that people would really like that. And Catacombs is more of like, it's a little bit longer of a song and a little bit more like parts to it. So I think that might end up being like a cult classic or something. But I think Piece of Myself was, I think we kind of knew. We had a feeling.
Yeah. So, Niko, you took on the roles of engineer, mixer, and producer for this project. Is this the first time you've gotten involved in all these aspects?
I've been producing and mixing for other artists as well for a minute now, for a couple years. And then originally we had some old music that we ended up taking down because I pretty much ruined it with my crappy mixing and production. So no one will ever hear those songs. But yeah, it's been a learning process that kind of just started because of necessity, really. It just didn't have the money to pay someone to do it, or like I ran into a thing where if we paid someone that was cheap enough that we could afford, I knew that in a few months I could do it better than them. So I was like, we might as well just go for it and just learn this skill for the band.
Yeah, totally understand. So for each of you, I just wanted to get your take on influences. Some music that, maybe you grew up listening to that influenced what you've done, or maybe current influences that each of you have.
Yeah, so I think when I was young, I was really influenced by a lot of like classic rock. It's still a big part of me. Guns N' Roses, AC/DC. I had a phase when I was 13 where I was like obsessed with hair metal, and that's still a part of me too. So I was really into all that stuff. That's really was like my bread and butter of like playing guitar music. And then when I met Brianna, she really showed me a lot of alternative music, bands like Young the Giant or Florence and the Machine. different stuff, pop music as well, which I had kind of like rejected in my mind. And I was like, wait, some of the stuff is actually really good, and this actually
Right. When you're into the real hardcore, it's like, yeah, you don't give any pop a chance.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when I was growing up, if you were a hard rock person and anybody got a clue that you listened to any pop music, oh, that was bad. Bad juju for you, man. You didn't do that back in the day, right?
Exactly.
I would say for me, I grew up, you know, being taken care of by like my like so many different family members, and I'm very grateful for that because I've gotten like a taste of so many different music. Like memories I can just think of is, you know, my uncle and my aunt would play the Gypsy Kings for me, and I really liked them a lot. And then my dad listens to a lot of like Tejano Tex-Mex music. You know, my mom and stepdad would listen to like Dave Matthews and Jack Johnson growing up, a lot of like Pearl Jam, Radiohead. And then my grandma loved country music, but she loved like musical theater songs. And then my uncle loves like, you know, Avenged Sevenfold to like Buck Cherry to like all those things. So it's very vast and very different. I think that's my experience. And I also like electronic music. I like it really all majority of music. And for me, I think that's kind of also like my inspiration with Saint Electric and our name and the pop metal and who we are. We're not just, you know, like we can express ourselves in many different forms and not just one form of being like hardcore, which I do love. Like I love the chugginess. I love stuff like that. But I think it's great. At least for me, I like all of it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely good to be open about all different types of styles of music because you never know what you're going to run across with these different things and giving them a chance. So you definitely have had a wide range of different things. Very, very cool. So another thing I want to ask you guys about here, it looks like you did some shows with Wolfmother, Mammoth, MC5, Dirty Honey, and WARGASM. Any memories of any of those shows that you can share with us? You know, playing with any of those folks?
Yeah. I think opening for Wolfmother on tour was really a really cool experience. It was our first real tour, you know, that was like long, and we've had a lot of dates, and we're playing to like a couple thousand people sometimes, and it was a really big learning experience for all of us. And it was just, you know, it was really cool because we're in Europe, and you know we're based in LA, so we're like kind of exploring Europe, and you know we're just learning how to be a band and learning how to be professional, and you know how to kind of pace yourself because it's very like disorienting, but also really addicting. And I think that kind of left a really good taste in my mouth. Like I really want more of that touring.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to speak to any other artists? Maybe they give you some tips or anything, or told you anything about your performance or anything like that, or road life or anything? Sometimes they do that.
I think with Andrew Stockdale, something that I learned is that you just have to keep going. After our show, I mean, I had so much fun on that tour. It was so much fun. I'm very grateful for that, honestly. But for me, we were in the back after a show, and we're like, I guess, eating, and he told us that, like, yeah, I love all the songs. I love him. He was a big, like, I was very inspired when I first started singing, and I would sing all the songs. But he had said that, yeah, like, I had done a showcase, and nobody said that I was going to make it. And now he's here, like, 20 years later, and, like, touring Europe, playing these huge shows, and everyone's, like, playing these huge festivals. And to me, it's like, his songs are in movies, like whether you know Wolfmother or not, like you know the music, you know. And I really took that as in like, you know what, there's an audience for everybody, and just because someone is in the business or whatever and thinks they know, they don't. Like also going on that, a lot of big bands or the big artists like at first were denied, and now they're the biggest people, you know. But that's something I got from Wolfmother is like you just got to keep going and, you know, doing your thing and doing what makes you happy, and you know, sticking to your guns, honestly. And that was something I thought that was very inspiring and shocking to me as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's been something that we've seen historically through a lot of classic bands. People passed on these bands. They could have signed them. Then they're looking back and kicking themselves for missed opportunities. And, these bands, become icons and huge, these different names throughout music history and stuff like that. So yeah, and you're right, you got to have a thick skin, because there's going to be a lot of doors slammed in your face, a lot of naysayers, and I was talking to another band the other day, a lot of people that'll drop out, you think are in with you for the long haul in your band, and all of a sudden, they're not into it, they can't put in the work anymore. But it sounds like you guys are definitely, doing that for the long haul. You're on that European tour, you played some festivals, yeah, Bottle Rock, Rockville, Prague Rocks, and Xena Rocks also. So like 4 different festivals you guys did over Europe. That's just amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
So what's up next for you guys? You guys got plans next? What's next for the band? I mean, the album's out. The album's out now, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, the album was out on March 20th, so that's been fully released. So what are the plans going forward? Is there anything you can tell us about?
Well, you gonna go?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few things actually that we have cooking up for everybody. We actually did a live performance of our whole album in this really cool abandoned water park, featuring pretty much like a bunch of amazing performers, drift cars, motocross, fire spitters, like really cool stuff, street art. And it's like a whole live performance, and with all these stunts, and like it's kind of coordinated, so it's really cool. So that's exciting. We're gonna put that out in April. We're still editing it, and then we also have another song we're cooking up. We have already shot the videos for that, and I think the goal this year is really to just we found our thing. We know what we want to do, and now it's just really establishing like ourselves as the crazy pop metal band that does these gnarly stunts. And
right, you figured out your identity of who you are and what you want to sound like, and definitely, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's something, looking at bigger artists is really something I do a lot, because I want to find out why I love artists, like what made me connect with my favorite artists. And I think once they found their thing, once they know who they're for, they just, they at that point, it's just putting the time in and nurturing a community and becoming part of people's identity, and helping them out. So just a lot more content this year. Hopefully, get on some tours or something like that. That would be really amazing. That's something we really would love to do. But we'll just keep growing this thing until it's too big to ignore otherwise.
Well, you guys have definitely done great so far, for sure. Got some great shows that you've done, great tours. The new music sounds great. Definitely very, very cool.
Thank you.
All right, so folks out there, you can check out the debut album, Off the Edge, from Saint Electric, streaming now on all the platforms, and you go to Saint Electric Band to check out their website. All right, so that wraps up this episode of Talking About Rock. Thank you to my guests today, Bri and Niko from Saint Electric, and to our listeners. We hope you're doing your part by keeping the torch alive and supporting live music wherever you are. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.